Welcome back. Today is day 9 in our factoring unit. Up until now, factoring trinomials may have seemed pretty simple. In this lesson, we will learn how to factor trinomials when a is not 1. This is sometimes pretty challenging for students. Let's give it a try. Oh yeah, it's that time again. We have some math problems here and we need you to do them now. Pause the video, complete the problems, and return to the video when you're done. Alright, let's go over the do now. Alright, first thing, let's multiply these binomials. So we're going to multiply the first term, so x times x, which is x squared. Then we're going to multiply the outer term, so x times the 4, which is 4x. Inner terms, negative 5x. And last terms, negative 20. So my answer for this problem, x squared, negative 1x, subtract 20. Perfect. Let's do the next problem. First terms, 2x squared. Outer terms, 6x. Inner terms, 1x. And last terms, plus 3. So we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. And the last one, let's crank this out real quick. 6x squared plus 4x plus 3x and plus 2. So 6x squared plus 7x plus 2. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Nice easy warm-up for us. Finally, here's where it gets challenging when we start factoring these problems. Now remember we said in an earlier video that our quadratics are in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c. And so what you should notice in these problems is that for every one of these problems, we have a number now. We have a coefficient that's in front of the x squared now. So for the first one it's 3, next problem is 2, next one's 3 again. And for every problem that we've been doing in the previous chapters, there was always just 1 there. So now it's going to be a little bit different. So let's go ahead and start factoring. So same method, it's just going to make our work a little bit harder. So how do you get a 3x squared? What times what? So we're like 3x and a 1x. And let me write that down real quick. So again, we're going to use the same method, but now we have a number there. It used to be a 1, now it's a 3. So the factors of 3 are just 1 and 3. Alright, not too bad. And for the last term, what are your factors of 2? It's going to be 1 and 2. So you notice that we have to do this twice now. We only had to do it once before, but now we're going to do it twice. Now this is where it really starts to matter. Where should we place that 2 and the 1? And again, we're trying to make 7x. So I know if I place the 2 over here, eventually I will multiply this 3x with that 2, and that'll give me 6. So that means I need to place the 1 over here, and if we multiply these ones here, that'll give me 1. So the 6x and the 1 times 1, which is 1, there we go, and that will make 7. So again, I would highly recommend that you have a pencil and with an eraser on these problems, because you might try and put in the wrong spot and have to rearrange, or you might have to try other numbers. Now let's go back to something we learned earlier. When we know our last value, when the last value is a positive and our middle term is a positive also, then we know our signs are going to be plus and plus. And just to check it, that'll work out. Positive 1 and a positive 6. So here is my factors. So what really changed is, well, now we have to really pay attention where we're going to place our terms, and we also have to do the factoring twice. Okay, so this is what makes it hard for students, is this part right here where there's multiple choices and multiple things we have to do. But again, write them out, factor them, try it again. If it doesn't work, check it again. If it doesn't work, check it again. Usually after a couple tries, it'll work. So let's factor the 2x squared. Well, I know, let's do it down here. We know that 2 is just 1 times 2. So those are my choices. So I'm going to go with a 2x here and a 1x there. That's not too bad. It's always nice when it's prime, and I think we start a lot of our problems with prime numbers, so that way you don't have too many choices to make. Alright, but let's try 3. Same thing, we know our factors are going to be 1 times 3. Now check, where should we place the 3? Should we place the 3 over here? Would this be a good choice? Well, if I did that, let me just check it real quick. Let's check this. This would give me 6x, and this would give me 1, and the sum of those would be 7. So it doesn't look like that's a good choice. Let me try a different spot. Let me erase that, and let's try it the other way around. What if I put the 3 here and the 1 here? Now when you check it, what do you notice? Well, this would give you a 2x, and this would give you a 3x. Oh, perfect. And my signs are going to be positive and positive. And there we go. Okay, so again, it is a little bit more challenging. It is a little bit more work. But again, I think I told you last video that these were my favorite things to do back when I was going to school. Alright, let's factor this one. 3x squared. Well, I know that's 3x. And that's going to be a 1x. Let's take a look at the 5. Positive 5. And there's a negative sign right there. That means we know what? What should we know right now? We should know that these signs are going to have to be negative and negative. Because the only way to get a positive 5 is to multiply 2 negatives together. Or 2 positives together. But we need a negative 16. So there's going to be 2 negatives together in this problem. So, well, we know that 5 is just 1 times 5. Now look, think about it. Where should you place the 5? If you place the 5 in the first parenthesis, that would be 5 times 1. And that doesn't look like it's going to make 16. But if we threw the 5 in the back over here, that would give me 15. And the 1 can go here. And that would give me 1. So 15 and 1 will be 16. Perfect. So I'll just check it for you real quick. But this is negative 15x. And this one is negative 1x. Which gives me negative 16x. Alright, so again, pretty short lesson. That's really all we're doing, is we have a little bit more choices to make. You have to figure out which numbers are going to where, and you're really going to have to check your answers to make sure it's correct. Make sure you have a pencil with eraser when you're doing these problems, because you will put things in the wrong spots. Alright, how about you try the next few problems and see how you do. I love these problems. Match the trinomial with the correct factorization, justify your reasoning. So below you'll justify your reasoning, but again, you can go through this kind of brute force and just factor each one and then see which answer goes with which one. Or you can try to solve it with the least amount of work. And I like that method. So when I look at this, what do I notice? I notice that every one of these, I'll erase here, all of these, and the first term is 4x squared. And if you look at the parentheses over here, 4x times 1x is 4x squared. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 2x is 4x squared, and 4x times x is 4x squared. So that's not going to help me out. So looking at those aren't going to help me out. But the other things that I do notice, look at number 7. Number 7. I have a positive 8x, I have a positive 3. Both of my terms are positive. So what I know right now is that no matter what this answer is, that it's going to have to be a positive and a positive. There can't be any other choice. If you have a positive 3, you have two positive numbers to make 3, and then you have the 8, so you need two positive numbers to add up to 8. So my answer for this one has to be, it's B. Doing no work, without factoring anything, I know that 7 is B. Because I know the positive 3 and the positive 8 means that it had to be both positives. And the same kind of reasoning, look down here. I have a positive 3, but the B term, the middle term, is a negative. So that means whatever my answer is going to have to be a negative and a negative. There's no other choices. It's going to have to be like that. So when I look over here, I know I just found two of those answers without doing any work, just by looking at the problem and knowing which one's which. So I know that this one is, number 10 is D. Alright, so I have two more choices, but now it gets a little tricky because guess what? You have a negative 3 and a negative 3. So what is that going to tell us? So that tells us that just by having those negatives, one of them is going to have to be a positive, one of them is going to have to be a negative, one of them is going to have to be a positive, and the other one's going to have to be a negative. So that doesn't really help us out because those have a positive and a negative, both of them. So I'm just going to rewrite both of those now and do a little check. So let's rewrite both. So we have 4x minus 3 and an x plus 1. Or if you wanted, you can just factor those really quick to see which one's which. But I'll just check it out and see which one I can find real quick. 2x minus 1. Alright, so let's do a check real quick. So my inner terms will be negative 3x. That's a 3. Sorry, that's messy. And that's 4x. So that should be a 1x. And guess what? That tells me that a must be 1x. A must be 9. A is 9. And just logically, we know C must be 8. Alright, but let's do a quick check. So this would give me a negative 2x, and this would give me a 6x, which is a positive 4x. And yes, that makes sense. Alright, again, you can write your reasoning for each one, but again, I like to do these problems with the least amount of work, so I wouldn't have factored each one. I would have kind of looked for patterns and be like, okay, what do I notice about, what do I know about these? Alright, well again, good luck.